I was thinking second. Okay, good morning, everybody. The time is now 9 o'clock. I call to order the Public Works Committee for Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. Can we get a roll call, please?
Chair Garcia,
Here.
Vice Chair Ozog,
Here.
Member Cahill, Member Desart,
Here.
Member Galassi,
Here.
Member Zay.
Here.
Okay, I'm going to Chairwoman's remarks. I just wanted to make a real quick comment here. We're going to be discussing later in the agenda. We've got a very full agenda, so we're going to go as fast as we can. The Heritage Gallery, just a reminder to the committee that $150,000 was by a consensus of the county board approved for payment of the contract to an outside company to work with several interested groups that have been invested for many years into creating an inclusive history of DuPage County within the area of the Heritage Gallery. Many people walk through the area for events, meetings, voting, and even school students for events like the Sustainable Challenge, and even school groups brought in by board members. The area as it stands now does not depict, in my opinion, a true inclusive view of all that are part of the great history of DuPage County. I'll be voting in consensus to approve the process continues, and I hope all my fellow board or committee members agree. All right, going on to the approval of minutes. Public comments, sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Do we have public comment today? I think we do, right?
We do have one.
We have Philip Buchanan. You want to come up here and then you can talk to them.
While he's coming up, there was a public comment that was emailed to all of the members. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair Ozog, board members, victim, staff, and residents. I'm Philip Buchanan, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Heritage Gallery Committee. Thank you again for your support for this important project. In 2019, DuPage County amended its strategic plan, identifying diversity and inclusion as one of its 6 primary imperatives due to its importance for operational areas of procurement, recruitment, workforce development, and appointments to county agencies. Change is coming. Soon, we will meet with Taylor Studios to begin our work. For Heritage Gallery, there is a schedule for the first phase of this project. Resource analysis and kickoff are next month. A kickoff call with Taylor Studios, as well as a tour of the facility. June and July are workshops. Design, survey, and focus groups follow. Concept design this fall. Next spring is the detailed design. Next April is the completion date of phase 1. The new artifact catalog of potential artifacts is to be provided. Many groups will be included in the gallery. Women and women's suffrage, Black history will be part of this project. Asian American history will be part of this project. LGBTQ+ community will be part of this project. We would like to partner with all the cities and museums of the county to share their stories. There are about 30 groups and museums in the county: Lombard, Glen Ellen, Elmhurst, Napier Settlement, Downers Grove, Hinsdale, Lisle, Roselle, West Chicago, and many more. Please check with your constituents for their stories that they want to include in the Heritage Gallery. So many other groups. We look forward to working with the community and facilities management on this very important project. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Can I just make a quick comment about how I've received comments from people who are thrilled that Taylor is a woman-run, woman-owned business.
Okay, thank you, members, sir. Also, in accordance with the recently amended county board rules, electronically received public comments have been sent to the members of the Public Works Committee prior to today's meeting and will be made part of the record of the meeting by inclusion in the minutes. So now moving on, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes for 24-1023 Public Works Committee meeting minutes for Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. We've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on these? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to approve the budget transfer for 24-1024 Facilities Management Grounds, $74,219 budget transfer needed to revise capital threshold finance policy. Funds will move from account 1,1102-54130 in the amount of $74,219 to account for the furniture, machinery, equipment, small value. This is actually for the ECBG, I believe, for the EV lighting and charging, if that's correct. I believe, correct?
Or which one?
or 6A?
6A, a lot of these are because we're revising the capital threshold policy
Okay,
within the county where we increased it. So this is changing it within the budget. You do have later on in the agenda, you do have for the vehicle charger.
okay, thank you. Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this? We get a motion, get a second on that?
No, I move.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Looking for motion to approve, 24-1025. This is for facilities management, $135,855 budget transfer needed due to revised capital threshold finance policy. Funds will move from account for equipment and machinery in the amount of $135,855 to account for furniture, machinery, equipment, and small value.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to claims reports, I'm looking for a motion to approve 24-1026 payment of
moved.
claims for public works and facilities management. Got a motion is second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to approve FMP 001524, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Gray Bar Electric Company, Inc. to furnish and deliver electrical and
Second.
lighting products for the EV charging stations at the judicial office facility and campus lighting upgrades for facilities management for the period of April 10th, 2024 through November 30th, 2025, for a total contract not to exceed $78,856.12. This is, I think, what I was
This
talking
is-
about before.
Absolutely.
Sorry, well, ahead of myself. Do we get a motion? We had a second, correct? Is there any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to approve FMP 001624. This is for a recommendation for the approval of a contract to Advanced Boiler and Control Services to provide boiler audit, testing, tuning, training, and time and material at the power plant for facilities management for the period of April 10th, 2024 through April 9th, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $70,057.50. Got a motion?
Move.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to approve FMP 001824, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Builders Chicago Corporation for preventative
So moved.
maintenance and repair
Second.
services for automatic and manual doors with threshold closers as needed for county's facilities management for the 2-year period of April 10th, 2024 through April 9th, 2026, for a total contract amount not to exceed $127,392. We've got a motion to second. I think this is for 88 doors, I believe.
88 automatic doors.
88 doors. Is there any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to approve PWP 000924, recommendation for approval of contract
So
purchase
moved.
order CIT trucks,
Second.
Rockford to procure 2025 Kenworth T480 chassis for the period of April 10th, 2024 to April 9th, 2025, for a total contract amount not to exceed $193,123 for public works and stormwater. It's a 50-50 cost share with stormwater. Got a motion to second. Is there any other discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to approve the ordinance PWO 000224, an ordinance authorizing the County of DuPage Water and Sewerage System to enter into a loan agreement with the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency to fund public improvements to the county's Woodridge Green Valley Treatment Wastewater Treatment Plants.
Motion.
Yeah, do we have an motion first?
Second.
Okay, and we have,
Can Nick give us a little more background on the
Certainly.
loan agreement specifically?
Certainly. So Public Works, the IEPA low interest loan, state revolving loan, as it's called, is the primary source of funding. This was identified, we completed a long-term capital improvement plan. Everything in here was identified. We were fortunate enough, IEPA actually was able to release some funding for us if we move forward on it. So all of our projects are on it. The rates right now that we're getting on this are, we got 1.1 on our original one, and I think they might be at 1.8. You cannot get better money or better interest rates than what's in here. The terms of this is how we fund all of our capital improvements at our plant. So what you see is two different numbers in there. You see a 25 million and a 30 million. We've been very fortunate. We do have cash on hand. So the project total is 30 million. Our loan authorization is up to 25 million. So this is exactly per the long-term plan that was approved by the committee. Several years ago, the projects identified in here that will move forward are our headworks, kind of our initial processes at the start of the Woodridge treatment plant.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to approve action item 24-1027. This is for Public Works accounts receivable write-off. A motion to approve?
Moved, so
Second.
moved.
Okay. I just want to give kudos, I believe it's to Stan
Stan, Cheryl, yeah.
and Cheryl. The last one was done in 2019. Only $12,000 is going to be written off, and that's out of $108 million user fee. So it's a 0.01% write-off. So it's a fantastic, low amount, fantastically low amount. So kudos to the staff for doing that.
I can tell you, I'm not sure of many billing agencies that have a collection rate of 99.99%.
Right.
So it's
No
ve-
businesses.
Right.
very, very impressive.
Yes. So
Yes.
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Okay, we're moving on to discussion. Nick, I'm sure you want to take the first one, electricity bid follow-up.
So we identified probably a couple months ago that we would be going out to bid, and we did go out to bid. The bids were not that good, so I did not accept the bids. And they came in close to 70% higher than what we previously had. It's a very, very volatile market right now. And so what we're gonna do, when we bid it out, we have everybody was in this room, we had procurement, state's attorney, staff, all the departments involved. And we went through it. We received one bid and was 70% higher. And it was on the street for a while. So what we did is we contacted all of the vendors on there that didn't submit a bid, as well as the one who did, to figure out what could maybe make it better. We have some ideas, and we will go out on the market again and do that. I will tell you, there is the ultimate fallback is we just go on market rate with ComEd. And it is cheaper than what the bid would be that we open. So it's not the end of the world. So we have some options out there. It's just everything is so volatile right now with presidential isn't helping. No one knows which way. You've got obviously environmental issues. So it's a weird market, and we're gonna do our best to navigate it.
Vice Chair Ozak.
When you go on the market rate, is that month to month?
Yeah, it definitely will change. We are basically a residential customer at that point subject to whatever ComEd charges.
Member Desart.
I just want to be clear with what this is, because I wrote the date in my calendar. Was that one day? that
That's
you
a one day.
That you sat and watched the market and were going to.
So we were on the market for that day, and typically what happens is we open. I have to sign that day because you have to lock rates in at the end of the day for utilities.
Right.
And I notify everybody, but because we didn't lock it in and I didn't accept it, I wanted to just do it here and let you know we're gonna go out. We think we might get a better response. I don't know if we're gonna get better rates. We'll see.
What do you think? Why didn't we get a better, why did we only have one respondent? That's so weird.
Our profile, our usage profile isn't really sought after. Because we're not considered a big customer. I mean, it's kind of weird to think that way, but we're not a big customer, but we're not a small customer. We're kind of in that, like, the middle ground that no one really cares. We're like, man, we don't have that much usage.
Because I know last time we did this a couple of years ago, we didn't have that problem.
Well, we had a good bid, but we've never had a lot of participation. It's always been in the 2-3 range. So, and when we go out, our procurement, and we actually have a secondary consultant helping us, we send it out countrywide. I mean, it goes out to everybody we can think of. So it's just, we've been very fortunate up to this point, but we might have to go on market rate.
Okay, and we look forward to seeing what the future brings us, and hopefully, you know, as you said, there that we can go on the rate for our everyday people.
One question.
Oh,
So
let me
do we
see.
need all these lights on, or do we need to put more lights on to be a bigger company?
I think I think both is
Like
accurate.
turn all the lights off in every room, or do
If
we
you
need to
turn
all
more
the
lights
off
on, we can
wait
get
for
more
the-
bidders, but if you turn more off,
They know we had solar, that's why the bid was so.
probably.
They're mad at us.
No.
They're bad. I will tell you, I mean, that's a good point. The solar, given the rates that were bid, solar becomes extremely feasible. I mean, from a payback standpoint.
So it's
Well,
good.
wait, but there's a flip side to that,
Yeah,
because
solar field
in Naperville, we have our own electric, obviously. The flip side is when you have solar and there's so much solar, the cost of traditional goes up because they still have to fulfill that need.
Oh, yeah.
And so those customers on this end are gonna go up 70% because there's that other percentage that's not paid. So
Yeah, but solar helps.
I'm just saying.
Solar
it's
helps the
just-
world, so.
it's just mechanics, That's all it is.
Does that mean we can blame this all on you?
Yes.
So it's Naperville's
Yeah,
fault.
there you go.
That's great. All right, any other questions on the first discussion item? Okay, let's move on to improvements to the county board offices.
We have a
Do we have a
small
slide,
PowerPoint.
the PowerPoint on the ideas on what possibly
So
may be done?
this is a follow-up, several years ago, it was brought up for the offices back there. Members A brought it back up a little bit ago. So we've refreshed it, we've looked at it, and we really like the concept of turning those into some conference rooms. And it really does change the project from like a board member initiative to more facilities management initiative, because those will be very beneficial to the entire county. But I will turn it over to Jeff to kind of.
Oh, okay, I get it.
Morning, Jeff Madison Facilities. As Nick said, we're looking to take the recent comments into consideration. We kind of dusted off our old plans and played around a little bit. This is the existing condition back there. There's that long, narrow hallway. We do have one county board staff office at the north end with the windows. We have a larger office at the south end with the windows, and then 6 of these tiny district offices that really don't see a lot of use. And even then, it would be, one day a week, Tuesdays. So, hey, thanks, Joe. Right now, we're showing 2 options. The difference is that second conference room, I'll get to that in a second. We're proposing having 2 county board staff offices at the north end. This will help them with their week-to-week, day-to-day needs. And then reconfiguring the remaining county board office space into 2 conference rooms and maintaining 1 single, more private office that still would be available Tuesdays if a board member needs a quiet sit down or a small room to work. Excuse me. At the south end, using the windows, we do have an existing conference table. We could move up there into that space. We'd put a TV at one end. This room would be available for other county departments to use the rest of the week. Facilities already has a calendar that they can book rooms out of. We put that into the rotation. The single office would keep the existing furniture, electric and data connections in there. We'd set it up so you could go in with your laptop, perhaps still keep the printer in there if you need to print something quickly for a meeting. And then option 1, we're showing that other conference room. If you recall, during COVID, we had those standalone desks in the county boardroom to get that 6-foot spacing. We still have those in storage. We could move those up here, and it could be configured like this, where you have small workstations along the wall if board members need to go in there and don't mind other people being in the room. They could also be pushed together into a group of 4 or a group of 8 if you need to get a larger project going, or if we want other departments to be able to use these during the week. The other option is we could look into getting another large conference table if we just want to maintain that and keep it pretty simple in there, and then just be a small additional cost. We look at a national contract to get that. Joe, if you could go to the next slide. Just to be, so that top right photo, that is the existing conference table and chairs that are just kind of hanging out for now. Be nice to use those. Bottom right are those county board desks that might work. And again, we could always do option 1 to start, revisit it 3 to 6 months. And if we want to get a conference table at that time, that wouldn't be a very hard lift either. we'd ask if, currently we have file cabinets in all these offices. I don't think they're used very much by board members. We could maintain 18 if everybody wants one to keep locked up here, or if your lockers in the caucus room are enough, we could get rid of those as well. That's something else we could also review depending upon usage. And like I said, we've maintained that existing desk in that small room. That's fine. We got preliminary pricing. The heaviest lift, the wall build outs for those two offices at the north end, and because we do need an egress door out of that hallway still, we would have to cut through to where our freight elevator is, so we still have two ways to get out of these conference rooms because of the fire code requirements. We would need to update the electrical and HVAC because of the new rooms. We just want to make sure the thermostats are set up correctly and the VAV boxes in the ceiling are serving the new configured spaces appropriately. Fire alarm would have to be tweaked just to make sure that, we have the proper warnings in each room. The carpet replacement, that's on an existing contract we have. We took the square footage and had our vendor give us a number for that. And again, the furniture for option 2 only, if we wanted to get another conference room table, it's probably around $5,000, including assembling and installation. End of the day, it's around $61,000, but love to hear your comments today. And timeline wise, we would probably try to do this work in July, hopefully, when board only has one meeting in early July, and then we'd have a month to get out of your way.
Jeff, you're looking for an option 1, option 2 kind of show of hands, right? You want to go back to option 1, option 2,
Yeah, just leave it up there, yeah. And just real quick before I take questions, I had one question. First of all, who's in the staff office that's down there?
Joan.
Joan is there.
Jones
See, I
in the
should know
existing
that, right?
office.
Well,
Okay,
I
so-
know because you, on your original thing, you have it flipped. District 1 is right next door to Joan. So I'm
Okay.
next door to Joan. You have it 1 through 6. It's 6 through 1.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
Just
And
an FYI, it doesn't matter.
Okay,
What
so
is
it's
in the
Joan.
center? What is in the center area between the two tables?
So that's one of the existing, that's like one of the existing offices. We would keep it because the furniture's already installed. We already have the debt and electric in there. That could remain as a,
As an office, if someone wanted to.
Right.
Someone had a private meeting or
Okay.
something they needed to have that done.
exactly.
My question, and maybe this is a question for Nick, I don't know, but in terms of the need by staff, are you in need of 2 conference rooms? Would that be something?
We're
that you
always
could-
chasing conference space at the county. I'll tell you that from every department, and as long as these are in play, they will be used.
Okay.
I mean, my personal thought is, I guess that's up to you, is how often do you think you're gonna be using that option 1, those individual workstations up there? Never. So my gut is just go straight to option 2,
Right.
because
That's what
I don't think option 1's ever
Let's
gonna.
just take it off.
I do like that you're reusing what we have.
That's what I think,
Okay,
yeah.
Vice Chair Oza, I'm sorry, did you have your hand up first?
Well, my point was.
Member Galassi did.
Oh, you did, oh,
I
I'm
actually
sorry.
had it first, but it's okay.
She had it first after me,
No.
I think.
I don't care.
Well, go ahead. You actually asked my question. I was just wondering how often are you guys in need of a conference room anyways?
Yeah.
And then
We're
it
always
sounds like-
chasing conference space.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say, from a cost perspective, I would go with option 1 to see how it is, but if nobody really is gonna use that shared workspace, then let's just go to conference.
I think you're gonna go there anyway with I don't see anybody really using those individual workstations.
No, Vice Chair Oza?
Would it be possible to do, can we put the file cabinets in both of the conference rooms? Can you do like 9 in one, 9 in another? Against
Yes,
the wall?
we could, split it up 9 to 9.
Caucus room's an option 2.
What was that?
The caucus room's an option 2 for files.
Oh, we could put them in there.
Correct. We could do
We
that.
won't- And also, so next on the bottom one, to the right of the second conference room, that is an office.
That's a new staff
That's
office,
a new staff office, and next to that is
Jones
Jones'
office.
office. Okay, so we would still have the center office area if someone wanted to have.
That's
a
correct.
meeting
Let's say you
behind.
have to do a private phone call, you can utilize that single office.
But that
in
will
the
not be
middle.
assigned.
That will not be assigned.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with the second option. That looks great. And
Member Sir?
Thank you.
Did I get you to Galassi? I'm sorry.
You did, yes.
Okay.
Well, first of all, I've been on this board going on 6 years and I've never once used that back office space, ever. So my preference would be, option number 2. But I would say that option number 2 with the 2 conference rooms assumes that both conference rooms may be used at the same time. And, there's a real privacy issue back there because the walls don't go all the way to the ceiling. So I mean, I could be in one of the offices and somebody could be on the front of another office. There is no privacy back there. So I see wall build out and doors. Are you planning to make them soundproof?
So there's a drop ceiling in there. So the two grayed out walls on the right, those would be more of a stud drywall, and we would put sound bat insulation, which is kind of our standard office build out now. So those offices would be, there would be less sound transmission.
So my
from those two.
question is, between each of those, will all of those walls be up to the ceiling now?
So currently they are secured in the ceiling, but you're right, those furniture walls are not, or modular walls are not as great with the sound transmission. We were hoping with keeping that office in between them, that would kind of be between the two conference rooms themselves, that would be kind of the noise.
But the walls on the single office would be up to the ceiling.
Correct, yeah,
All the walls would be up to the ceiling.
yeah,
Okay, that was my comment.
okay.
But
got it.
so we
would
and
build,
also,
oh, I'm sorry.
and also I said the carpet replacement, but Nick has told me in the past that we've got, well, maybe not
Carpet stock.
tons. But we've got carpet downstairs in the storage area because we always order extra.
Do we
So that's
have-
really not a cost, is
Do we have
it?
carpet for this building?
Yes,
We do have attic stock. The hurdle we have with carpeting, one day it's discontinued and it's gone and you can never match it again. And now we can't. So we try and maintain a decent attic stock because once it's gone, we can't, if you can see the lines, we replace by spots. Like if there's a spill here, I can rip this one out, put a new one in and we're done. So we need to maintain a good attic stock. As we use our attic stock, we try and keep replacing it.
Okay, and so, so I know that Joan's office is one of these offices. Do we have somebody for the other offices?
So it would be assigned to the county board. So as the chair maybe hires other people, that's gonna be assigned to the county board office.
Okay, thank you, so I'll conclude with my preference would be number 2. Thank you.
Remember you?
Oh, thank you. So I actually use the offices on a somewhat weekly basis, so maybe I'm just in the minority. So actually, I would like option 1, but my question is, with regard to using the conference room and the single office, is there going to be like an online system to reserve it? Do we have to call somebody in particular to reserve the rooms? How would that
The
work?
board members will, I mean, there is a reservation system we've got on the county. Our policy is if it's reserved, you have preference for it. Otherwise, I mean, if you're sitting in there and somebody has it reserved, you can be kicked out if they have it reserved. I will tell you on Tuesdays, likely staff will not use those conference rooms. It will be off limits to staff on Tuesdays. Because I know that there's a lot of meetings that you guys might have either internally or with constituents out there. So likely it would be available Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for staff.
Are you able to work in a conference room?
Yeah, I mean, that's.
That's fine too. Okay, all right. Member Rutledge.
Thanks. I think member Zay had his hand up first, but
That's okay. Go ahead with the ladies first. I'll go last.
thank you, Jim. So regarding file cabinets, and we've talked about this in the county boardroom quite a bit, that the little file drawers that used to be at each of our spaces in the county boardroom have kind of disappeared
I'm
and nobody
glad you
wants to
brought that
talk
up.
about that.
So if you go back to the back row and member Desart, member Chaplin
Yep, we got it.
Yep.
have 2 samples. So we bought,
I thought we were
they're,
the only
they're
one.
Oh,
they're
okay,
not,
cool.
so it's what we did. Jeff bought 1 of each. And so we need each board member to take a look and give us what they want. And I mean, either you want option A, option B, or nothing, and so at board next week, Jeff will be up there and probably go around and ask what you guys want. And so, because we bought just 1 of each style, they're both different. And if you want them, we'll order them. And then so you'll have them by your chair.
Okay, thank you for that. And so I'm thinking, the shared workspace idea. I am definitely on option number 2, but couldn't we do that shared workspace in the existing caucus room? Just an idea.
Yeah,
And
we
then-
we could absolutely bring some shared workspace. My recommendation is we build option 2, and if you want individual shared workspaces, we can add a couple in the caucus room if that's what the members want.
And then, not really about this space, but I've been asking a bit, the courts countertops are beautiful in the county boardroom, but they are freezing cold. So I was hoping to get like a desk blotter sort of a thing at each place so that we could actually rest our arms on the table to take notes, because it's cold.
We did have, we were,
They sell
yeah,
those.
so we were doing some temperature adjustments. That room was not at the proper temperature last Tuesday.
Oh, we know that.
Well, it was right, we worked on it between 9 and 10. We couldn't get in there when the meeting started. So may I suggest just give it another meeting or two to see how it works out. And then from
Well,
there,
and I don't think it's a big expense to do, I mean,
Yeah,
Amazon,
we're
they were
looking, I mean,
$11.
just like the glasses. We noticed that in the first meeting, 2 of them tipped over, 2 of them broke. So we've
Right,
switched
right,
from
we're still
glass. So
adjusting, okay.
we're still getting, we're still kind of fine tuning.
One of them was.
Oh, jeez.
So I can't see my noise on plastic.
I know, hard to.
You know, it's got a win-win, Jim. Yes, members.
Is everybody else done? Okay. 'Cause I don't- Jeff, I don't understand why that on option 2, the staff office has to be that big where we have to cut another door. Can't we make that office a little smaller so we don't have to cut a door into going to the freight elevator? Kind of maintain a little bit of that hallway thing.
Get that hallway all the way down.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we could put that option together too. We felt the existing office was pretty small and with no windows for the second office, it's like this, we'd be putting the high windows, which we typically do to try to get some of that daylight over to them as well.
well, maybe that's an incentive to do better at the county board office unless, or you get put in the small office. That would be, no, I mean, I just wondered if that would help, but if it's too small, then yeah, it's not worth having.
Yeah.
I mean, my option would be option 2, and I wouldn't buy a conference table right away. You know how the courts buy stuff all the time. I'm sure one's gonna pop up
Something's
at
gonna
some
pop up.
point.
We can
Yeah.
talk to Scares too and see if there's something that they've
Yeah.
got. So we'll
Not
talk
like
to
we've ever bought
Scares.
anything new for the county board.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
this
God
table
forbid.
or anything.
So can I get a consensus for, let's just go with option 2. Can I see a show of hands?
So sorry. I'm so sorry.
I think you've got your direction. All right. Thanks, Jeff. All right, let's move on to item 12C, 24-1119, consensus to proceed with improvements to the Heritage Gallery.
So the question I have, I know it's already 9:30. Do we
Yeah.
want to postpone this or do you guys want to dive into it? I know that you've got, the next committee.
It depends on how many people are gonna have a discussion, I guess, on this. How many,
I think you all know how I feel about it.
and you know how I feel about it. I
So
made
good.
it clear at the beginning.
So
Wanna
I
To get a
can,
consent.
I can tell you from a staff standpoint, what we're looking for is just a direction, go, no go. Because we need to, at this point, we need to enter into an agreement with Taylor Studios
Right.
and Wheaton Park District. And we didn't want to go down that path if that wasn't the will of the committee and the board to move down there. Because it will take, the better part of 24 to get through this, to design something.
Right.
Our share of the contract with Taylor is 45,000. And then the 75,000 will be paid by the park district. And you were correct, where 150,000 was originally reserved out of ARPA interest. That does not include construction. So we're talking 45,000. And then there will be a construction out of line, but we don't know what that is until Taylor gets done with their. So we just want to make sure that as we move forward, if we're going to start design, that we will go all the way through if everybody realizes that there will be construction on the back.
I'm gonna go with member Zay on this one first.
Thank you. Well, Nick, that's what we're not getting the total amount. I mean,
No.
remember to start, it said they had a bid or they had estimate or whatever it was for 100,000 for the cases. So we're already at the 150,000. Again, don't think I don't care. I do have a degree in history. I mean, so I care a lot about history. But I don't think this is the place for it. I think we should spend that money and give it to the museum we actually own, the DuPage Historical Museum, and work with them to promote something that more people will see and more people will go to. People don't vote here anymore. They vote at the fairgrounds. We don't have a voting location here. We're a secure building. We've got bulletproof glass everywhere. We've got people coming in, going through magnetometers. I mean, if we're gonna spend the money, and I have no problem spending the money, let's spend it where it's actually gonna be useful and people are gonna see some kind of exhibit on the history of DuPage County and diversity of DuPage County, not here in this building. I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, I would love to talk to Wheaton Park District and spend that 150,000 there and do something there and have a different exhibit and do that. But here it just seems like something we're gonna spend all this money, we're gonna spend at least 150,000 on a minimal amount of people that are gonna come and see it. I mean, I think we could use that space again. We could use that space for the employees I mean, we could put something there, make it nice, and then do something nice and work with Wheaton Park District, our partner, and do something out there. I think it's just, if we're gonna build something and spend that much money, let's get our most bang for our buck where people are gonna see it. And I just don't think they're gonna see it in our small hallway here at the county complex.
Can I get clarification? Because I believe the Taylor contract was only about 30,000, I believe.
So the board reserved 150,000 out of ARPA interest. The maximum portion of the counties is 30 plus 15, depending on how far we go. So call it 45,000 of that 150. The 75,000 is historical museum. That's covered by them completely. So theoretically, if you spend the whole 45,000 for design, you'd have 105,000 left for construction.
So Member Glossi.
To Member Zay's point, I'm curious, do we have numbers on how many outside, constituents or people from the public come into the building?
The only thing we have is the number of outside coming into 421, and
Keith could probably get that together, Keith Briggs.
so we can get that. I mean, I can tell you as a campus, I mean, obviously our most visitors are over at Judicial over there, but without a doubt. But we can get you the numbers for 421.
And then my additional question is, from a security standpoint, do we want to be promoting more people coming to 421? I mean, maybe the answer is it doesn't matter, they don't care,
I think we've
but
got the security in place.
I mean, we are from a security standpoint, we have the magnetometer for all of our visitors. They all come through only one entrance with the security force, Keith and his staff doing that. So from a security standpoint, I think we're fairly solid, but it's a valid point.
Member Cahill.
So I have to say, I definitely support an investment in the history of DuPage County, absolutely. But to Member Zay's point, I do agree that this may not be the best location for it. So I think that if we could explore what else we can do, where else we could do at the History Museum, maybe even like, can we partner with the Elmhurst Historical Museum? Can we run like how they have the wall, the Vietnam wall goes out to different locations? If there was some part of this investment that we could have a history of DuPage County that went to different locations. I don't know, I'm just throwing that out.
I would say that the partnership, you already have a partnership in place with the Wheaton Historical Museum, with the Wheaton Park District, since the county owns the historical museum over there. If you didn't want to do it here, that would be the logical place you would partner.
Okay.
Member Guston.
I guess, and to your point, I agree. I mean, there's an opportunity to have a relationship and a contract with the museum where they can display some items that are relevant at that particular period of time. And maybe it could be like a multi-use, multi-purpose space. Also, if schools, schools sometimes have art programs, and at the city, we would always have the different school districts come in and different grades would have art displays and art competition, and it did bring people in. And so if that's the intent, is to bring more people into the building, to recognize that this is what this is a building, this is what we do here. It probably needs to change, and it probably needs to invite other people in as far as with art or any competitions or activities versus just one historical piece. Because I don't think people are gonna be coming in going, I want to just see this one piece. I mean, or two pieces or 5 pieces or whatever it might be. And if the museum has the flexibility of all of this different stuff, that would be a great partnership, and just leave it a multi-use space for different things.
I will say the do nothing down there doesn't really exist, because we have to do something, because the exhibits down there are very, very stale.
That's what I was gonna say.
I mean, they've been changed and I can't tell you how long. Yeah, so they're very stale.
They're not inclusive, and so it's either gonna be pulling them out and doing nothing, or updating them to be inclusive of everything that's happened and everyone who's contributed to DuPage County. Remember to start.
So the board has indicated that we approve the $150,000 for the design and the initial part of it. But one thing I wanted to point out that we haven't discussed is that in private meetings, we've talked about a private-public partnership. So the rest of the exhibit outside of the design, and maybe this will help you get your head around it, better, is that we would get sponsors to fund, the cabinetry,
The
the
second phase.
carpeting, the second phase. Thank you. So, yeah, we haven't discussed that yet. I just wanted to put it out there that DuPage County wouldn't be footing the whole bill.
And if I could follow up, to my point, it wasn't leave it the way it is. My point was work with the museum and let them face different new things in and other things out, and maybe restructure it so that it does accommodate that relationship with them.
And isn't
It's
that
not
what Taylor
leave it the
Student is
same.
going to do?
And that's why we're partnering with
Right.
Taylor and with the Park District, I mean, on this specific contract, is we kind of see a movable, you're gonna have probably a lot of media, maybe TVs down there, that type of thing. So once again, we wanted to bring this to get your direction as a committee, go, no go. And so we didn't waste our time going down here if we weren't gonna go to the next phase.
Members A.
Just to follow the member to start, wouldn't that public-private partnership also work at the Wheaton Historical
Absolutely,
Museum?
absolutely.
I mean, that would be,
And everything.
I mean, we all know Wheaton, if you've been there, needs an update. I mean, it does. I mean, so this would be a jumpstart to updating
Which is what we're doing.
the museum in Wheaton.
And I can tell you the reason why that we partnered with them is they have the curator. And so we can't even do what we want to do here without their partnership. That's how important they are.
Correct.
Because they have the curator. We don't know this. We don't know how to care for artifacts like they do. I mean, they're the experts.
Yeah, it's a total partnership with them. So my Vice Chair Ozone.
I would be in favor of going ahead with the contract with Taylor, because you may end up with ideas similar to, I've noticed, billboards now, if you notice the difference between the paper ones and the electronic ones, maybe we end up with a few artifacts, but a series of informational boards, similar to where we have our names coming off, rolling like that, so that you could still bring the message, but maybe you don't have the museum part of it like we have downstairs right now. So you could use more of a high-tech type of situation, but we're not gonna get that without going ahead with at least the minimal 45,000 with Taylor and get some direction.
And I agree wholeheartedly. And unless we do the Taylor, we aren't gonna know what direction we're going. So I am in favor. I'm gonna ask for a show of hands who also are in favor of going forth with, at least go with the Taylor and then trying to find out where we go from here. But you raise your hands if you're.
Can I just ask one more question?
Mhm.
Sorry.
No.
So this, what you're looking for consensus is the 30,000 or the 45?
I would say we still have to bring back a contract to you that you have to vote on. This was just because now we have to negotiate and get everything lined out. So ultimately, you would be saying probably the 45, but we could limit it to the 30 if you want to limit to the 30 to get to that phase. The 15 takes us to basically almost construction level drawings. The 30 is a little bit further back. So we'd have to come back for another contract if we want to move forward.
So you'll have another
If we
vote on this.
approve that 30, can we decide later if it's in our lobby or at the museum, or does this?
Well, sure.
Good
Yes,
question.
that's what the
We
Taylor,
could.
that's what
We
Taylor.
could do that.
It'd be a concept.
We
Right,
can
it
set,
was a
we can set
conceptual.
up the contract with Taylor. That's why this is a fairly abnormal, us bringing in a scope like this, but we knew there was a lot of discussion. We can set it up so that they're only getting 30. You guys can make a decision here, there, and don't do anything. And then know that there would be another 15 at least to have it here. We could do it that way. We could set it up that way.
I would be in favor of that because I would, if possible, like to see what the traffic is in our building 421 versus their daily, or their annual traffic, just so we can just see who is getting most
That can be part of the
benefit.
discussion process.
Let me,
Taylor.
what might be easier, if you want to, we can set up the contract so that the 30 and the 15 are both in there, but they cannot move on 15 without explicit authority. And then that way we don't have to do an amendment later, but we don't have to go there too. So that we can say on record that we can't go there until you as a committee give us a direction to go there. But we don't have to rewrite the contract then. We could put them both in it, I think, at that point.
Absolutely. We've done that many times.
And then you can give us the green light, red light after the 30.
But the 30 could be used to go forward to the Historical Society versus the location here.
That's what the discussions will be about.
there'd be some things that would
consultant
be
has to know
relevant.
that.
There'd be some things that would be relevant, but it's going to be very specific. The 30,000 would likely be specific to this building, I would think.
Oh, well, that's different then.
I mean, but some of the exhibits, you may say, we like these type of exhibits, but realize they're gonna be figuring out functionality in the space provided. And so it'd be a little bit different over there, but the content would be usable over there.
So they could be a rotating type of situation.
We're planning on portions of it being rotating no matter
And they
what.
could also look at perhaps more of a high-tech type of situation.
Yeah, I think nowadays, you like the interactive, you like the TV screens, that way you can keep it fresh a lot easier.
Member saying. Oh, I'm
I
sorry,
mean,
member.
all I wanna see is, is there gonna be, that kind of changes. There'd be like an option A for Heritage Gallery, option B for Wheaton Historical Museum. You saying we can't do this?
So the problem is, we're gonna hire Taylor and they're gonna go out and do a community involvement. What do you guys wanna see? What's out there? We're gonna have lots of groups. That knowledge will be usable here or usable there. There's gonna be a portion of the 30,000 that will, if we don't have it here, likely couldn't be repeated over there, but a good portion of that could be. All of the data gathering out there and everything, but if they're gonna come up with a concept plan that will fit this location here. That location is different than over there, so it'd have to be modified a little bit. You'd have a little bit of wasted effort, but not much. Because
Member Dessert.
Well, I
The
mean,
whole
the
board,
follow-up, we haven't even got into the concept of, we're not museum peoples, we're not curators. Who's gonna okay what's gonna be in our gallery? That's a whole nother discussion. Who's gonna say this is
Who
proper, this
decided
is
on
not
what's down there
proper?
now?
Huh?
Who decided what's down there now?
Well, that's why we're saying changing it.
Right,
But who's
that's-
gonna say who's gonna put it in the future? There might be
Committee.
things that are offensive to certain people that don't want it in there. Are we gonna make that decision? Or are we gonna leave it up to a curator who's a professional that has no political backing or anything else?
Right.
That will put it in their museum, not in our public
Well, I
building,
think it will be,
and do
we're gonna
whatever.
have a,
We do envision that if we move forward with Heritage Gallery in any form or fashion, we would have a continued relationship with
Right,
Wheaton Park
curator.
District, their curator. Because this is way above our heads. What's down there and what we have to do is way above us. But we anticipate a continued relationship with them. But that relationship will cost us too. That will cost us.
Thank you.
and we're gonna go on.
So just for clarification, a majority, if we approve the 30,000 today, or consensus, the majority could be used at the.
I think so, yes. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
I would say the vast majority could be, because you're out there gathering, that 30,000 is getting community engagement, getting different groups, finding what they want, finding what's important out there, come up with concepts. The vast majority could be here, could be there.
Right. Could be finding out what people really want. Member Dessert, did you have your hand up?
I just wanted to say that the whole board has already given a consensus to the whole board for the $150,000. And I just think that, unless we approve $45,000, unless we approve that second, $15,000, the $30,000 will be a waste of money. So it's either 45 or nothing for me.
So in the contract we'd bring back to you, we would have the full 45, but it would give you as the committee the authority to trigger that second 15. So we wouldn't have to write a new contract. It would be in there, but you guys would see the concept, sign off on a concept and say, we like it, go to the 15, or we don't like it, go to the Wheaton Park District.
And I feel that that's a discussion we could have at our next meeting when that contract comes before us.
And Taylor Study Studios doesn't see a resolution. I would put it in the resolution therefore. You handcuff staff. We can't go past 30 in the reso until the committee authorizes it. You've now directed us how to do that, if that is your design.
So could you explain better the bifurcation? The $30,000 is for X, the 15 is for Y.
Sure, so the $30,000 is for a concept phase, and that gets us through, their initial visit out here, looking at the space, see exactly what's there, what artifacts are available, both in our collection, the museum collection. Then they would take all that, give us a preliminary plan for the gallery, then come back to us with a preliminary budget. That's when we talk to the focus groups, we'd kind of dial in things with we'd have a public survey, we could have public communications, tweet it or Facebook or whatever. And that's when the public would be involved towards the end of the concept design. Then we'd bring it before you and say, here's the budget we're looking at right now. Here's the direction we're kind of aimed at. Do we want to proceed with design development, which is at $15,000, the next step?
That basically gets you documents almost at biddable level.
So wouldn't the $30,000 be a waste of money unless we go to the design developments?
Well,
No.
I was gonna suggest we could also ask them in concept to also give us like a bare bones where maybe it is more generic, we'll have this full-fledged, full built-out gallery option, which is kind of what we had always been thinking, but we could also have them give us an option that's like, maybe we have a single wall that's more digital focused, that's more curated by the museum and other groups, and that could have a policy in place to rotate in exhibits or images depending on what month it is, or if the museum's doing a special exhibit, how that gets coordinated. Maybe we kind of have like two plans as part of their design.
And by the way, just like the carpeting, it makes sense that we've got the big screens downstairs in storage, so that would not be a cost.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good option with having the whole digital wall and maybe a less cabinetry and a less cost item and the main exhibit over at the DuPage at the historical museum.
But we would need them to give us that concept, how you would actually delineate that.
Well, I'm still raising my hand for $150,000, which the board already paid.
But I think, members,
Just in the budgeting process, we budget millions and millions of dollars. That's not okay until those committees approve it, then it goes back to the county board. It's basically just a placeholder, not the fight. That wasn't the fight at the time on the floor to talk about the Heritage Gallery. It was here in these committees when it came forward. So you can put whatever you want in the budget until the board approves in committees and then back at the county board. It's just a placeholder. That's all it is. So when I voted for the budget, didn't say, yes, let's move ahead with 150,000. I just said, yes, it's a placeholder, but we'll have more discussions in the future when it comes up.
and I'm gonna ask for just a compromise so we can get Taylor going. So I'm asking that we give it a hands of consensus that we can at least get some kind of bare bones, kind of a concept back to this committee so we can decide from there. So I'm gonna ask those of you who are in favor of that, please raise your hands so that the staff knows where we're at.
I guess.
So when you say bare bones, are you
I'm
saying,
saying what Tim
The-
just suggested,
the-
or what Jeff just suggested.
I mean, it sounds like, are we good to explore different options to come back here for the 30,000? Is that okay? So we will keep it to the 30 and have different options, and so we will work with that. Okay. So then you will see a contract with Taylor coming before you whenever we have these new negotiations lined out.
And so through that, we're gonna have the meetings with the stakeholders and people who are interested, and so we'll have a lot of information coming to us, and this is brought back to us. Is that correct? Okay, perfect. All right, any old business? Any new business?
I just want to say real quick, the public comment that you did receive regarding the restoration, we've already talked to that individual. Keep in mind, when we do a dig, that was a very deep dig, we've got to let it sit for a couple of weeks, if not longer, to settle. And so we only did that dig less than 2 weeks ago, so we're not gonna be able to restore something that quick, but we've contacted the.
So they
resident.
did get a response.
We've talked to the resident, but you cannot do a restoration, because if you do it, everything's just gonna settle after you do it and do it again.
Right,
It's not growing right now.
Yeah.
no. Okay, move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned.